page 11. Poverty is Not Natural, by George Curtis, 2020. Chapter 1. The Great Enigma of Our Times. I believe that there is in true Christianity a power to regenerate the world. A. Henry George, The Land Question. Henry George is best known for his 1879 classic, Progress and Poverty. This sought to explain why poverty tends to increase and deepen, just as human society becomes more efficient at producing wealth. In his introduction, he described how it was natural to expect, and it was expected, that labor-saving inventions would lighten the toil and improve the condition of the laborer, and how the enormous increase in the power of producing wealth would make real poverty a thing of the past. Yet, in George's day and even now in the 21st century, all of these productivity-enhancing forces have failed to abolish widespread want and fear of want. Observing that poverty is as much a feature where autocratic government prevails as where political power is in the hands of the people, George inferred that there must be a common cause for this failure. He observed that we find the deepest poverty, the sharpest struggle for existence, and the most enforced idleness, where population is densest, wealth greatest, and the machinery of production and exchange most highly developed. He acknowledged that wealth had been greatly increased by technological progress and the average standard of living had been raised with labor-saving devices, making all manner of everyday tasks less toilsome, but in this the poorest did not share. I do not mean that the condition of the lowest class has nowhere nor in anything been improved, but that there is nowhere any improvement which can be credited to increased productive power. I mean that the tendency of what we call material progress is in no wise to improve the condition of the lowest class in the essentials of healthy, happy human life. In illustration of this, George offered an image that has been widely quoted. The new forces, elevating in their nature though they be, do not act upon the social fabric underneath, as was for a long time hoped and believed, but strike it at a point intermediate between top and bottom. It is as though an immense wedge were being forced, not underneath society, but through society. Those who are above the point of separation are elevated, but those who are below are crushed down. Unfortunately, Henry George's explanation of the cause of this phenomenon, and the solution he proposed, have received less attention. By and large, history has looked upon Henry George's Progress and Poverty more as a stirring call to justice than as a source of rational understanding of social problems, or as a practical means of addressing them. But he warned, this association of poverty with progress is the great enigma of our times. It is the central fact from which spring industrial, social and political difficulties that perplex the world, and which statesmanship and philanthropy and education grapple in vain. From it comes the clouds that overhang the future of the most progressive and self-reliant nations. It is the riddle which the Sphinx of Fate puts to our civilization and which not to answer is to be destroyed. Virtually every attempt to solve this riddle has conceived the problem in either terms. Either society must remorselessly embrace free markets, though under present circumstances many are inevitably left behind, or it must confiscate and redistribute wealth to enforce fairness, though waste and fraud are the inevitable concomitants. Henry George rejected this dichotomy, recognizing that under the right conditions labor and capital worked hand in glove. The problem, George realized, lies with the way economics is taught, as he stated in the concluding chapter of Progress and Poverty. Political economy has been called the dismal science, and as currently taught, is hopeless and despairing. But this, as we have seen, is solely because she has been degraded and shackled, her truths dislocated, her harmonies ignored, the words she would utter gagged in her mouth, and her protest against wrong turned into an endorsement of injustice. Freed, as I have tried to free her in her own proper symmetry, a political economy is radiant with hope. This remains the case. Today's mainstream views on political economy, particularly as they inform public policy, recognize no such symmetry. In George's view, this symmetry revealed that the natural way to fund government was from the rent of land rather than from taxation, and that, in doing so, a major cause of poverty would be removed so that all would share equitably in the wealth produced. Page 13.